It is 4:05, and I want to call us to order the August 22nd meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission. Welcome. The purpose of the commission is to approve certificates of appropriateness for new construction or major work, and to do so by conducting hearings and findings of fact when applications come before us. Our mission is to take no action except to preserve and approve that which is congruous with the special character of the Village of Pinehurst Historic District. I'm Molly Gwynn, Chairman, and on my left is Jim McChesney, Eric Von Salzen, and Tom Schroeder. On my right, John Taylor and Richard Vincent. Planner, Kathy Lyles. New planner, Peter Hughes. Senior planner, Darren Burish, and Administrative Assistant Kelly Brown. Welcome all. We do have an absence today, Terry Lertz, who is traveling. But we have a quorum, so we can proceed. Just a reminder, this is a quasi-judicial hearing, so anyone desiring to testify must be sworn in, and we are required to consider only facts presented in this hearing. The proceedings are video recorded. The first order of business is to approve the minutes from the July 25th meeting. Are there any corrections or amendments, changes to the minutes?
Make a motion to approve.
Tom Schroeder made a motion to approve the minutes. Second, Eric Von Salzen. All those in favor of approving the minutes, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you. The minutes are approved. We'll start with our cases for the day, and I've made a change to the agenda, to the order of things. The first case we'll hear is COA 19-077, the Whitfield's property on Chinkapin Road, and Mark Parsons will be presenting. Next, we will look at the property on Palmetto, in Palmetto House. Third will be Honeysuckle Cottage on Cherokee. And last will be 20 Medlin Road, Lee Manzo. So we've scrambled it a little bit, but we're waiting for some materials for Lee Manzo and had a request from the Whitfields to move theirs forward to the first position. So, I need to swear in Kathy Lyles, our planner. Do you affirm that the testimony you shall give to the commission is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. And so if you would present the case.
Do you want to go ahead and swear everyone at this time, or just one at a time?
Well, let me swear you. Mark, do you affirm that the testimony you shall give to the commission shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. All righty.
Mark, you may want to just bring the microphone over so we can.
Okay. I'll run through the findings quickly, and hopefully we can coordinate so you can present more details about the proposal. In this particular case, this project is before the Historic Preservation Commission as a major case because it involves modifications to the exterior of a contributing structure in the district. This is actually a multi-family building, so you'll see if you look at the mapping on it, there are multiple addresses for this location. And so we've got individual ownership for specific units subject to a homeowners association. And those materials
Kathy,
Am I on the wrong case?
Yes, you are. We're doing Chinkapin.
Oh, you're right. I'm so sorry. I went to
Okay.
Palmetto.
All
right. Okay, so, wait, it looks like I made a typo on this. So it's a contributing structure built in 1920. And in this particular case, it would still require a certificate of appropriateness because it is a modification to the exterior of a contributing building. The side entry door is currently uncovered. And the applicant wanted to provide a means of some covered ingress and egress to get in and out of the door that goes to the basement. The applicant proposes to match the existing facade to include the same color and texture with brick columns. And in terms of our, would you like for me to go ahead and go through the guideline requirements and recommendations? Sorry, we're working with a new format, so as we get through
Well,
this.
it's brief, so go ahead.
Okay. So in the case of our guideline requirements, new porches, entrances, and balconies or alterations to porches, entrances, and balconies on street-facing elevations must be compatible with the architectural character of the structure and must be congruous with similar elements in the Pinehurst Historic District. This entry is on the side of the property, but would be the same in appearance as the rest of the structure, which is architecturally congruous in the district. And in terms of recommendations, the height of the porch should align with the first floor level of the structure. The roof over wood align is proposed to align. And I think at this point it would be great to hear from Mark to provide some more specifics.
I can give you a lot. We've started with this project several years ago, and I was just actually, I did these drawings August 2nd, 2018, so they've been maybe a little fuzzy. I think we've got certificate of appropriatenesses for a guest cottage several years ago in this house that she never did. I think we did a porte cochere along with this certificate of appropriateness, and Linda's never really pulled the trigger. So this is just a simplified version of just something covered. We are matching every detail of the house. If you walked up to the house, you'll see those big beams that had some scroll work that was scrolled into, carved out of it. We're going to mimic those. It's very simple. The size of the columns are the same as on the side porch. They'll be painted the same color. That house has really, really nice details. One of my favorites. So I wish kind of we were doing more, but my job is to not make it look like anything's ever been there except what we're going to put on. So that's
Right. So it's the side entrance.
Yes, ma'am.
Any questions from the commissioners for Mark?
I've got a couple. We're also taking out a slab?
No,
The drawing says slab to be removed.
that might be for the future carport where it says.
We had discussed doing the slab removal as part of a minor modification because it is in the rear of the structure and not attached. So we didn't necessarily have to handle that through the Historic Preservation Commission.
And I have no issue with that. I just want to understand the drawing that's there.
We were working with the same set of drawings for our discussion.
Okay, so that's under something that you're going to take care of as staff is the slab business, okay? So all we're dealing with then is that proposed covered side entrance, nothing else.
No,
Okay, that's what I need to know.
Where on the drawing it says relocate existing wall, that's not this project, is that correct?
yeah, no, all we're doing, again, all we're doing is just that proposed side entrance. Right.
Okay. Any more questions? I think we're ready for a motion. Who would like to make a motion?
Before you make a motion, could I please just make sure we've entered all materials into the record, including drawing, staff report, and the draft findings that have been provided?
Here's your motion language. You start here and do the second and do the votes.
Then I move that upon due consideration of the application package submitted and the testimony given, the Historic Preservation Commission concludes the following: that the applicant has satisfied the burden of persuasion and the project as proposed, subject to any conditions imposed by the commission, is congruous with the special character of the Pinehurst Historic District and consistent with Historic District guidelines. A certificate of appropriateness is hereby granted for the reasons stated. New porches, entrances, and balconies or alterations to porches, entrances, and balconies on street-facing elevations must be compatible with the architectural character of the structure and must be congruous with similar elements in the Pinehurst Historic District. This entry is on the side of the property, but would be the same in appearance as the rest of the structure, which is architecturally congruous in the district. And the height of the porch should align and will align with the first floor level of the structure. The roof over will also align.
Second?
So John Taylor has made a motion, Eric Von Salzen has seconded the motion. I neglected to ask for public comment. I'm sorry. I do forget that often.
We still haven't voted on the motion, shall we?
No, no. Is there any public comment on this project? All right, so now we will vote on the motion, on John Taylor's motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carried, and you have the COA. You're welcome. And the next case will be COA 19076, the property, the Webb's property on Palmetto Road. I think we'll let Kathy start on this. She'll make a presentation, and then I'll swear you in.
You have to understand the lawyer in me, sort of.
Okay, well, then let me go ahead and swear you in, and we'll get that out of the way. Do you affirm that the testimony you shall give to the commission shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
And I'm sworn from the initial, did you swear me in for all of the cases?
I did, I thought I did.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Now I can go back and give the introduction I was going to give a few minutes ago. So the project before us today is actually in a multi-family, multi-ownership structure at 160 Palmetto Road. It's in Unit 3, and the applicant proposes to replace the existing entry porch and steps and add a roof over entry above the 3 windows as shown on the sample photographs that were provided. This is before the Historic Preservation Commission because it does constitute an exchange, a modification to the exterior of a contributing building. The structure was built in 1895. The existing material for the entry is pre-made decking at this time. The existing roofing is listed as shingle. The building is a multifamily, well, I discussed multifamily unit with several entrances, and there is a carriage house that also contains 2 units. And in the process of their proposal, they wanted to bring your attention also to the carriage house in terms of looking at how the 2 structures work together, and along with their proposal. The applicant, for the roof, the requirements for roofs, the roof would be cantilevered, such as the roof on the property that's shown in the attached drawing. And I'll just kind of hold this one up for people to see. You can see how that's, it's not standing post supported, but cantilevered off. They've not provided samples for the materials, but they have discussed making it match exactly what is out there. They propose to install concrete porch steps and landing with brick trim and wrought iron banisters instead of the pre-made decking that is out there at this time. I'll turn it over to you.
We, as a matter of order, if it's,
Excuse me, you need to use the microphone, please, sir, because this is being recorded, and they're going to see your lips move, but they're not going to hear one word of what you say.
I understand.
Thank you.
As a motion of order, could I go ahead and introduce the things that we brought this afternoon? Because I don't think you've had the benefit of this.
No, and that would be very nice.
We have something drawn from Alsher Home Design that shows the,
They have all of that, but they don't have this bottom.
right, so we need to introduce this.
Okay, maybe we should pass that around.
We have a sample of the brick that will be used. We
Excellent.
have a sample, we have a large sample of the roofing that will be used, and we have a sample of the hardy plank that will be used.
And did you think to bring anything about your railing? You're going to do a wrought iron railing, right?
Yes. And
So we'll just have to hear about that.
yes, I'm afraid so. But it would be, I think it would probably be a custom welded railing is what we would like to put in there. something, not something from Lowe's, but something that's custom built
Okay.
for the landing.
Okay.
If you've seen from the pictures, my wife purchased this last year, and the landing itself is absolutely, totally horrible in relation to the rest of the historic structure. We'd like to replace that with something that matches, and what we're trying to do is to have a landing where we can open the door and everything without getting rained upon. The actual structure of the roof that will be over the landing and the 3 windows, we would like that to look like the overhang of the carriage house, which has the wooden framing that's on there, and it has
The brackets,
yes, has a certain simple design on the brackets, and the contractor has advised that he can replicate the detail on the carriage house brackets.
I have a question about the brackets. Of course, the scale of your overhang will probably not be as big as, so you will not be using a 4x4, which is about what it looks like on the carriage house.
We will be using something
Smaller.
proportional
Yeah.
for the step.
Okay.
But I would be misleading you if I told you exactly what size that would be. But it would be proportional to what we're constructing there in relation to the overhang of the carriage house.
And in place of the stucco, which is the material of the overhang, you'll have the hardy plank.
That's correct. It will be hardy plank. It's my understanding this was the gardener's quarters when this structure was built, so it's getting a pretty good upgrade.
Will you do the beadboard on the ceiling? They had, on the carriage house, there's a beadboard treatment? You haven't gotten that far.
Don't have, that's just as simple to do as to do a plywood, so if the commission would like to see that, I'm sure that can be done.
Well, you don't have to copy that overhang exactly, but I'm just remembering the details as I walked around the property.
Well, it's a
A charming thing.
It is, and we're wanting to upgrade it to where it should be.
Questions?
I got a couple of technical questions, and this is probably to staff as much as anything else. And just to make sure the record is clear is what I'm looking at. I have this property as 160 Palmetto Road, but I have a COA 40 on the top of this document, which doesn't match the documentation that the agenda talks to, and I just want to make sure the record is clear that this is not COA 40, but COA 19-076. Is that correct?
I think both actually appear. The 076 does appear, but I also have the 040 and was curious about that.
There is a numbering system that's being picked up in the new software that the village has started using. And so I think at the top of the application forms, you'll see, let me see if I can find one in here.
Well, it's a handwritten number in
It's a
in the upper
exactly.
right-hand corner, and that was confusing to me as well, but I went with the one that was typed into the agenda portion.
Right, and this is, the COA numbers we actually use are a running list of numbers so that we keep track of all of our historic preservation cases in an Excel spreadsheet, basically. So that's why you'll see 2 different numbering systems now, but the number we're actually going off of for the COA will be on that first page of your agenda.
Okay, so it is 19-076, and we can ignore the 0040.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, that was my question because it was there. The second thing I have is there was some documentation when we got here today which indicate that they're applicable to this case. So I want to make sure, A, they get into the record, And then the applicant also provided this document, which I believe is the exact same as the document that's provided to us, so I did not pass that around.
That's correct, because what they did was send it to us electronically, so we rushed to push it out to you, so you would have it for today.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure that I understand the documentation that's in the record. Thank you.
Any more questions?
Yes, I have a couple. This building is a condominium, I believe, is that correct?
That's correct.
This proposal relates to the exterior of the building. I assume that's a common area rather than a unit, is that correct?
Where the construction is taking place?
Yes.
It is being handled by us as individuals on the construction and not the common area, but we have approval from the homeowners association to go forward with the construction.
I don't want to hold up the approval of this proposal, but perhaps we could condition it on your providing a copy of the approval from the homeowners association within, do we have that? No.
It's in the letter that
The letter.
Mrs. Webb provided,
Eric, there's a letter.
Letter, but it's
but it was not provided by the HOA.
homeowners association. That's my point.
No, it's from Mrs. Webb.
Legally, I think, I haven't reviewed the documents, but normally the exterior of a building is owned by the association, and they would need to approve this. So if you could provide us with a letter within 1 week of today.
We'll do that. We'll do that, Mr.
That
Fonso.
would
Would it be
satisfy.
acceptable to basically have them provide the letter before a building permit is issued? That will make sure it gets in, and we'll put it in the building permit file as well.
That would satisfy me.
Okay.
So not as a condition of our approval today.
Well, it can be a condition of approval today that it be provided by then.
Okay.
I'm not sure that falls into the purview of the homeowners association, or I mean of
the HPC.
HPA. Whether they have permission or not, I understand the legality and the issue to that, but historically, whether they have it or not, is there an issue to this board?
Well, we have to, normally, an application to change the common area of a condominium would be made by the homeowners association. We have to, it seems to me, determine that the party before us has standing to make the application. And in this case, since the homeowners association has approved this, I wouldn't want to stand on technicalities, but we ought to have proof in the record, and I think having it by the time the building permit is issued would satisfy me.
All right. Anything else? Are there any comments on this case from those in attendance, those people in the audience? Yes. Could you state your name, please?
Sure. John Byrne.
And John, let me swear you in.
Okay.
Do you affirm that the testimony you shall give to the commission shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay. Just a couple thoughts that I have. One, I really appreciate what y'all do here. I serve as the mayor in Fuquay-Varina, North Carolina, and have a unit. My unit is unit number 4 there at the Palmetto House. And I totally support what the Webbs are wanting to accomplish and do. I think it is be a nice addition to an area that probably needed doing at the beginning. And they ran short. I don't know why they didn't put the cover over that spot, but it will be a great addition to the Palmetto House. And again, thank y'all for what you do.
Thank you. Thanks very much. All right. I think we're ready for a motion.
Be happy to make the motion.
Okay, Eric?
Upon due consideration of the application package submitted and the testimony given, the Historic Preservation Commission concludes the following: that the applicant has satisfied the burden of persuasion, and the project as proposed, subject to any conditions imposed by the Commission, is congruous with the special character of the guidelines. A certificate of appropriateness is hereby granted, subject to the condition that the applicant will provide to staff the letter of approval from the Homeowners Association before the issuance of a building permit.
And then we need the conclusions of law.
Oh, the, yeah.
Guideline requirements.
Right, which will be attached to the order. New porches, entrances, and balconies, or alterations to porches, entrances, and balconies on street-facing elevations must be compatible with the architectural character of the structure and must be congruous with similar elements in the Pinehurst Historic District. This unit is on the side of the property, but would be similar in appearance to the carriage house when complete. The height of the porch should align with the first level of the structure. The roof would so align. Porch posts, columns, and railings should be compatible in composition, dimension, shape, color, pattern, and texture with the structure. The black wrought iron is compatible with the district, and the color scheme for the roof support is also compatible in design and color.
All those, is there a second to the motion?
Second.
John Taylor, Eric Von Salzen made the motion. John Taylor seconded the motion. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed by saying no. The motion is carried. Thank you very much. You have your COA.
Thank you very much.
By the way, as a matter of public interest, the Palmetto House is about to be honored by receipt of a plaque from the Village Historic Federation, and I've been working on that, and that's a lovely building, and you should be proud of it and proud of making the improvement to it that you.
There, yeah. There you go. Thank you. See you then. Lee, are you ready, or? We're going to do,
7, I think.
I think we have some materials coming to us.
As I said to Ms. Lyles, and I'm not looking for sympathy, but please give me a little bit of understanding in that I've had a pretty serious family issue going on in the course of this last month, and in fact, I'm going out of town tomorrow, so please just bear with me if I'm not off on things. I don't mean to, like I said, I'm not trying to play on sympathy, but just a little bit of understanding.
What do I do with this?
Take one and pass it down.
I already have one.
You already have it?
And this, you don't have this. You don't have the materials. So Lee, let me swear you in. Do you affirm that the testimony you shall give to the commission shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. And Kathy, do you want to present the findings?
I think because this case is a continuation, we do not necessarily have to go back through the findings from last time, because I believe Alex, I'm looking for a nod from Alex, ran with them last time. I got a smile. Before you, you do have some additional information that has just now been provided. So I think what might be helpful at this point, since this constitutes new information, would be for Ms. Manzo to go over what has been submitted, and then perhaps we can discuss how that, if that satisfies your issues from the last meeting.
So we have the elevations, and we have the exterior materials, which is, that's a good thing. So let's go over that.
Materials, we got, they were supplied, Latitude Builders, Tyler Cook is the builder I've been speaking with. Got the 2 new windows to match the existing. Stained grade craftsman style front door. A siding would be a vinyl shakes to match the existing. Brick to match the existing. 4 white 6-inch squared columns, a 1x6 tongue and groove ceiling, a broom finish concrete on the floor, porch, and have to excuse me. The metal roofing. I'm not sure how to read some of that. Five.
Well, actually, we had the 29 gauge metal roofing. That was so I don't know about that 5, whether that's the standing seam or what, but.
I don't know anything about construction
So
materials.
black standing seam, metal roof at an appropriate gauge.
Yes.
Wait. Any questions for Lee?
I have a question about the materials that were just submitted, and I think they duplicate what was in the package already. Sheet 2 of 2. This one. What is shown as the first elevation says existing front elevation. And unless I'm very much mistaken, that's not correct. That's
I've got the correct,
that's the modified, correct?
So everybody understands what we're talking about.
Well,
and
you've clarified something. Go ahead, Lee, I'm sorry.
sorry, Tyler's got, I think he's got,
That's it. Mhm.
So
one we're
it's, the drawing is still mislabeled,
I just got
just the
one.
top one.
Yeah,
The existing, that's the rear is correct on that one. The rear is correct, existing left side.
Right side.
Well, yes, and Enrique he'd sent out new ones, and they just didn't get included.
That's the one that I've
Okay.
been asking about.
I have a question for the commission at this point. Would it be acceptable for the commission if we ask Ms. Manzo to relabel that existing drawing to modified and have her initial it during the meeting, or would you prefer to have a modified sheet?
I
That's the last meeting.
I don't have any problem with either way, so long as we have a clear record as to what it is that we're being asked to approve. So if the word existing on that sheet of 2 of 2 on the top elevation is changed to modified in the record of this case, I would be satisfied. Speaking only for myself, I don't know how other members of the
Well,
commission
that-
may feel about it.
And I have no issue with agreeing with him. The only issue I has is that is not a recommendation that we make. If the
If
person
the
providing
applicant's willing to
information
do it.
so chooses to do that, I would have no issue with it, but should not be considered a direction from this board.
I agree.
Well, the other bit of confusion besides the label are the windows. But you cleared that up on the materials list because the new windows are not going to be 4/1 like that, like as is pictured. That's wrong. That's not what you're getting. You're getting matching existing, right? So you're not going to have those 4 panes on the top of the sash.
Then that elevation is incorrect in that it shows the 4/1 instead of the 1/1.
That's my understanding from your list here.
Clarify the window. See, it shows the 4/1.
Well, so did you choose to change out the windows?
Well, honestly, I haven't gotten that deeply into it. I was going with what they had proposed.
Okay.
We don't know.
And can I make it that I will speak to the, Ms. Lyles, or get approval, conditional approval on that? On it as,
I think one of the things, if I may jump in here, I think one of the things the commission needs to know at this point, before they can approve it, is exactly what that window design is going to be. So I think that's one of the things they're uncomfortable waiting.
the 4 square.
Okay, because that's what they would be voting on, would be the 4/1.
Okay, so the only thing that's wrong, that's inaccurate about the drawing, this elevation, front elevation, is that it's the modified, it's the label that's inaccurate.
I'm
that
not
correct?
sure that's what I heard.
I
Could you
think
speak
so.
into the microphone? 'Cause
Yes, that's the only,
So you're taking the word existing out and putting the word modified in the top view.
correct.
But with respect to the windows,
And that's why I'd say, I would go with as the drawing has it, which would modify the materials list slightly. Not changing size or anything.
so the two
Okay.
new windows are not matching the existing, they are the 4/1.
Yes.
They're white vinyl, so to that extent, they match.
What is there?
But they're different numbers of lights.
That's your proposal, is that correct? Okay.
So if we make it a condition of the motion that the drawing will be labeled correctly or relabeled correctly and initialed by Lee Manzo, perhaps we are ready for a motion.
And then number 2, right underneath that, new stained grade Craftsman style front door. So it's stained grade, what color are we going to have? And I can buy 100 different stained grade doors. Which, is it the one that's in the picture provided? Is it something different than what the
We have not picked out the specific door yet.
Okay. Once again, I think there's still some things to do.
Photograph has, we just had a second ago, has the 4-pane window. Over 2, and whatever.
And the drawing shows 4/.
Question,
Well,
question.
yes, Richard.
The color rendering also shows a cedar-looking post, 6 of them, I guess, and the materials list says they were white. So it'd be good to get some clarity on that.
I make a recommendation to the applicant.
Question.
You got a question?
Yes. Has the designer of record, Mr. Artiga, has he been involved in any of this discussion and what we
What
had,
extent? I'm
what
not
we had
quite
talked
sure.
about during the last meeting of this group?
I've been in contact with him, and he's provided some updates to the drawings. I've been in touch with the
Much of what we're
builder.
talking about is a repeat of what we talked about at our last meeting.
Do I need to have Mr. Artiga or my builder come and speak? That,
I think that might be a good idea.
The other thing I would recommend, ma'am, is to sit down with staff and go over with them, and I think you can find out that they're going to be able to provide you some guidance and some thought on how to, some of these things that are coming up again, if they review it with you, they would be able to point out some of these and ask the appropriate questions, which might well help you present it as well.
So I think where we are here is that we will continue your application until our next meeting in September. I will, and if that sounds doable to you.
yes, please.
Okay. And so I need a motion to continue case, golly, case COA 19-057, a motion to continue that until the next meeting in September.
I so move.
Eric Von Salzen made the motion to continue, and Tom Schroeder seconded the motion. All of those in favor, say aye. Aye. All in favor, nay. All against, nay. All right.
What is
So
the
we'll
date
see
of
you
the-
next month.
Okay, what is the specific date for next month? I just want to make sure that that's clear to everybody.
I believe it's the 26th.
September 26th.
September, so that'll be September 26th, ma'am.
All right.
And I would, again, highly recommend you take some time between now and then and sit down with the staff, and I think they can help you answer some of this stuff or get answers for this before you get to this point with the application, if that's what you so choose to do. Okay?
Well, thank you, Lee. Now, the last case is COA 19-078, the property on 65 Cherokee Road. And I will say that I met Mariah this morning as I was visiting the property. I know Wayne, so, but let me swear you both in. Do you both affirm that the testimony you shall give to the commission shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Kathy, you want to go ahead?
I would love to. Just before we start, do you have any additional materials you might like to provide the commission at this time? Since we seem to be getting materials
Yeah, I've
today.
got a few things here, but I'm not sure. Photograph of the house as it was built in 1895.
Oh, that would be great. Is this from the archives?
Yes.
Wonderful.
I don't believe we do, because I don't think I've seen
I
it.
was wondering about the porch.
Okay.
We have photographs for what it is now, but not,
But it probably was different.
Trying to get additional information.
Most of those on the top there.
This one here.
Yeah, the old house could take this one that way. That's another.
So while the materials are starting around, I'll run through the findings very
Okay,
quickly.
thank you.
So we are discussing 65 Cherokee Road, and the changes that they've requested are the siding, a porch addition, removal of an old deck with installation of a brick patio, a rear addition, a side entry addition, and a garage addition. I did say re-siding. Boy, I can't read my own writing. Okay. Given the particular circumstances of this project, we obviously have a contributing structure. Our records from the tax office pulled up 1900, but you pulled up the 1895 records, so that's great. So obviously, this work will require a certificate of appropriateness approved by the Historic Preservation Commission. This cottage has been known as the Honeysuckle Cottage and also as Good Luck. I had listed in our records when I did a little homework in the listing. It's on the National Register of Historic Places. It's one of the earliest buildings built by James Tufts. The house suffered a fire in 1950, was listed, but still retains many of its early features, such as its steep pyramidal roof, central chimney, and corner porch with turnposts and balusters. Okay. Existing exterior materials are listed as white tile shingle with wood trim and single-pane wood windows. The existing roof is listed as asphalt shingle. The siding, the garage is German lap siding. There's an existing wood deck with seating. One of the things I would note that I don't have, I suspect some of these changes came along the way over the years. I don't have particular time periods during which some of these changes may have been made, so the applicant may have more information regarding that to share with us today. In terms of the roof, the applicant proposes to convert asphalt shingle roof to black fiberglass roof on the entirety of the primary residence and the garage. In our findings, we have samples have not been provided, but we do have, I think, some materials that will be making the rounds this evening. Roof line will change with the addition of a front porch, side entry, and bathroom closet addition on the rear. The roof line of the garage is to be extended with the conversion to a guest house and addition of a storage area on one end and bathroom on the opposite end. The roof for the front of the porch will be of smaller scale than the adjacent roof. The roof on the side entrance will be of smaller scale than the adjacent roof. Some additional complexity will be added to the roof lines of the house just because you're adding these features, so it increases the complexity a little bit. Roof exhaust vents are to be black PVC. The applicant proposes an exterior change from tile shingle to hardy board on the house and German lap siding to hardy board on the garage. Additions affecting exterior walls on the house include a foyer addition, front porch addition, side entry addition, and master bath closet addition. Wood trim is to be replaced with hardy trim. The applicant proposes a change from single-pane wood windows to black vinyl Pella windows. Windows are 1/1. The walk-in closet laundry addition will result in the removal of 2 windows on the rear. A new front door and side door will be installed. New single-pane sliding doors will be installed on the left side elevation. A double French door entry will be installed on the garage. The overhead door on the garage will be removed for the storage addition. Plans show a double door. A transom window will be added to the garage as being converted to a guest house. In terms of porches, entries, and balconies, the plans depict conversion of a front entry porch to a foyer with addition of a new front porch. The new 4-foot deep front porch is shown along the width of the front of the house. Decorative brackets, columns, and posts, shown as typical on the plans, are proposed. Hopefully there will be additional information provided to talk about how that's representative of the existing features, so we'll look to the applicant to weigh in on that this evening. The front porch is proposed to be natural wood. A side entry is to be added. I would encourage the applicant to also discuss the natural wood. For decks and patios, a wooden deck on the left side elevation is to be removed and replaced with a brick patio. The deck is elevated. The brown tone brick patio will be at grade. Did we get a brick sample by any chance? I haven't seen one of those come around, so we can talk about that. Let's see. The applicant proposes, in terms of masonry, the applicant proposes brick for the patio and steps to the patio, steps to the front porch, and to the side entry addition. Plans for the front step depict brick sides as well. The brick is identified as brown tone, and once again, we'll talk about those materials. So I think at this point, Wayne, it might be good for you to weigh in on everything I missed.
Wow. It's a lot of descriptive information. Ms. Mariah Brown is with me today. She and Mike on the home. I'm pleased that she could be here. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you guys. It's not often that you get to return a house back to its original look. What we also found in archives, this was the 7th home in the village of Pinehurst. It's been there for a long time, that's for sure. But, real excited. The Board of Adjustment gave us a variance to rebuild the front porch on the house to create the architectural look that it was back in 1895 when it was built. And we're very happy to be able to do that and return it back to its architectural look and historically correct. As what you were told with the siding and, what we propose to do. you know, it's our hope, and I've told Mariah, you know, when I leave, I want it to look like it did when it was built in 1895. You know, that's what we're after, and apologize for not having a paver sample. I don't think we failed to mention a picket fence that's be the Village of Pinehurst approved typical white picket fence that will surround the property also. I'd like to add that if I could. You know, we're not changing any of the window sizes. I know the ordinance, and the window sizes will be the size that are there. The doors will be the size that are there. We're adding the front door to the front. The ordinance says we can't do that, but to return back to its historical look, you know, that's just absolutely what we need to do. You know, right now, when you look at the home, as you see from existing photos there, that you can't even tell there's a front entry to the house. All the decorative columns and corbels, everything that you see on that photograph will be duplicated. I just couldn't reiterate more how pleased I am to be able to do that and be participating to put this house back the way it needs to be. The right side, there's an existing porch there now that's close to the same size of what we're adding. What we're adding is a little bit of an enclosure. Really, it will not encroach, you know, outside of the setback. And it's a little larger than the porch that's there now. The deck on the left side is not historically correct. We'll be removing that and, of course, putting in an on-ground patio there. The house doesn't have much closet space. It's a two-bedroom home. It's a typical small Village of Pinehurst, you know, cottage. And we are adding a closet to the rear of the house for the master, helping the master bath. It's very, very small. We're trying to create a shower that's at least somewhat comfortable when you're in it. You know, the roof lines will be coherent with what's there. On the front and the rear and whatever side, it'll all work like it should be. The garage, we're adding a little addition to the front side of that. Where the garage overhead doors are now, we'll install 2 more doors. We're going to we'll make them look like carriage doors, where they'll look like they'll open. We haven't identified those yet, but they will look like our architectural drawing, and we want it to look like a carriage house is still there. Siding on the garage will match the new siding on the house. The overhangs on the house will be like the overhangs are now existing on the house. Let's say I've gone through the ordinance fairly well, and I think we're good, but I'm soon to find out, I'm sure. So I guess that's about all I have to say.
Thank you. Well, I have to say, Wayne and I were colleagues on the Guidelines Committee when we created this new set of guidelines, so you do know all the, all the requirements for sure. Does anybody have any questions of Wayne Haddock or Mariah Brown? Okay.
You talked about a picket fence. Do we have any drawing as to what that's going to look like? Because that's something we need to make a decision on based on where it is and how it looks.
I'm okay with coming back with that if I need to. I do not have any drawings. It will be typical 3-foot tall. It'll be the standard fence, built several of them, white.
I have every belief in
but I don't have anything to
that you'll do what you say you do. The problem is we need a record so that we can...
Understand.
I can actually approve a picket fence if it meets the design criteria as a minor work.
Okay, so that's fine too.
That's good.
So then we don't have to include it in this
So
package.
we'll just forget about it for right now.
Yep.
Okay, that's fine if it's outside the scope of that. You mentioned a closet and a bath. Are there any changes to the exterior of the house to put those in, or are they going in the existing framework of the
Now,
house?
there are changes. It's a small addition on the rear of the house. It's shown on our plan right behind the master.
Now, on your elevations, I don't see windows, no windows in it, in the small addition. And I could be reading it wrong.
I think they marked that we are eliminating 2 windows as a result, because you wouldn't normally put
Well, we're
windows in the
pushing
closet.
out from the,
It was stated that they were eliminating 2 windows.
On the rear elevation, they would be eliminated.
There are none. There are no windows there.
okay,
We're extending it out as primarily mostly closet
okay.
and a shower.
So there are currently
Bathrooms
windows that aren't going to be there anymore because of the extension, or there wasn't any to start out with?
There never were any windows there.
So we're not eliminating any windows then?
We are eliminating a window. There was a window there. And we're building where a window was at.
Okay, so you are eliminating a single bit
That's
window.
right. Mm-hmm.
Wasn't clear with
I
it.
think
Thank
it's 2.
I had 2.
Yeah.
It's 2. Yeah.
There was a small, you're right. She said
They're
she was-
marked on the drawing.
There's a small, on the existing picture, you can see them. There's one other one, a small one in the back.
Any more questions?
As someone who also owns an older home that had some things added onto it along the way that were not original, is there any chance you can replace the sliding glass door with a regular door over what's now going to be a very nice brick patio? It's not within our purview, it's just a question and more than anything else. Because I love what you're doing here. I don't know. That's above my pay grade. I had one that had 6 sliding glass doors added onto it, and we managed to get rid of those because they weren't original, but just a question, has nothing to do with, I think it's a very neat thing that you're doing.
Yeah, the reason there is a sliding door there as opposed to a French door would have to open in. We don't have a lot of room
What I thought, yeah.
inside.
Yeah.
It can't open out,
Yeah.
and because the patio
You got
is
the
down
steps
on
going
grade.
down. That's what I thought.
Right.
And of course, sliders are permitted, not on front-facing elevations, but on a side, they're just fine. Anything else? Any comments from attendees? All right, I think we're ready to make a motion, and it's going to be a big one. Who's our best reader?
I don't know if I'm the best reader, I'm willing to give it a shot.
Thank you.
All I have to do is find the right place to begin. Oh, goodness. So, upon due consideration of the application package submitted and the testimony given, the Historic Preservation Commission concludes the following: that the applicant has satisfied the burden of persuasion, and the project as approved, subject to any conditions imposed by the commission, is congruous with the special character of the Pinehurst Historic District and consistent with Historic District guidelines. A certificate of appropriateness is hereby granted for the reasons stated on the attached pages, plural. Here, right, yes. Do I have to read the numbers?
Could we simply reference the pages in the document?
I have proposed that in the past, since they're actually all written out, and it's 3.5 pages here.
I would certainly endorse that proposal.
Second.
Then I would
The only
include,
thing I would ask is that the applicant be provided a copy of it if we're going to do that before we do, because they have part of due process is to make sure they understand what we're approving. If we don't read it, then they ought to be able to at least read it.
If staff could weigh in at this point, I would actually suggest that you make the second motion that's listed on the page. And the reason I say this is because we have a replacement of materials And you're talking about a replacement on siding, on windows, and on roofing. So what you're saying here is that you find it to be congruous and you find it to be persuasive, but you do have some guidelines and recommendations that call for maintaining original materials. And so if you're going to allow for kind of a whole-scale replacement of materials, then I think your second motion would be more in order than the first motion that's listed in the order.
I agree based on the language written. I have no problem
Okay, so you're
substituting.
going to withdraw your first motion.
I will withdraw my first motion, be happy to substitute a motion in his place. So upon due consideration of the application package submitted and the testimony given, the Historic Preservation Commission concludes the following: that the project as proposed is not in conformity with the guidelines. Nevertheless, the applicant has satisfied the burden of persuasion, and the project, subject to any conditions imposed by the commission, is deemed congruous with the special character of the Pinehurst Historic District. A certificate of appropriateness is granted for the reasons stated on the attached pages, including the conclusions of law and guideline recommendations, a copy of which will be provided to the applicant.
Very nice. Is there a second to John's
I'll
motion?
second that.
Okay, motion made by John Taylor, seconded by Tom Schroeder. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. You have your COA. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Expect some information.
How long do you expect that project to take?
All right. Could you wait a minute? We're almost finished.
Put on my calendar, drive by in 7 months. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
As a condition. It would be a condition, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Our last item of business is a review of the normal maintenance and minor work items. Any comment on that?
I have none.
None.
Our next meeting date is September 26th, 2019.
I believe I am out of town, that I will confirm that to you.
Okay, okay. And so I just need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay.
Can we get an update on this?
Oh, all right, I'll take that up in a minute. All those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.
Adjourned. We have
Microphone's off.